I feel that there should be no judgment on any level. I think we should have family unity is so important.
I know.
The night didn't begin as breaking news. It started as a whisper, somewhere between London's dawn and Hollywood's midnight, when most people were either asleep or barely waking up. And yet, the internet was already exploding. Not because of a royal scandal leaked by tabloids. Not because some nameless reporter dug up a story. No, this time, the explosion came straight from the royal world itself. Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, yes, a duchess, had just done something unthinkable. She released never-before-seen, unfiltered photos of Meghan Markle during her infamous yacht days. And in those photos sat a familiar face, Prince Andrew. What followed was chaos. Social feeds erupted, podcasts went live, headlines multiplied in seconds, and royal correspondents who swore they were off-duty suddenly appeared back on screen. But amid all that frenzy, the person at the center of the storm, Meghan, was nowhere to be seen. And according to a well-placed insider, her silence wasn't calm or strategic. It was shock. It was panic. It was devastation. She didn't see it coming. Not from Fergie. See, Meghan and Fergie were never close. Not friends, not allies, and definitely not enemies. At least, not until that moment. But inside the royal circle, there was always an unspoken rule. Former duchesses don't expose future duchesses. They don't cross lines. They don't drag the past into daylight. But that rule shattered the moment Fergie hit upload. The first photo felt like electricity. Meghan laughing aboard a Mediterranean yacht, sunglasses on, drink in hand, surrounded by a glittering group of well-connected men. And among them was Andrew, young, relaxed, unmistakably comfortable in her presence. But the second image? That one went viral faster than any royal photo in years. Meghan wasn't just smiling. She was whispering something to Andrew, standing close, her hand almost brushing his arm. Body language experts called it sharp. Commentators called it questionable. Society insiders called it dangerous. But everyone agreed, it changed things. But the real question wasn't about Meghan. It was about Fergie. Why now? Why her? Why publicly? Because according to sources close to York family circles, Fergie had reached a breaking point. For years, she'd been pulled into Andrew's scandals, judged for things she didn't do, and constantly compared to other duchesses, Kate, Diana, Meghan, always coming up short. But what truly bothered her was how Meghan and Harry positioned themselves as royal outsiders, misunderstood, mistreated, and pure victims of tradition. What Meghan never mentioned, Fergie claimed, were the years she had spent moving in elite royal circles long before she met Harry. The yacht photos didn't just show Meghan's past, they hinted at connections, influence, access. And Fergie's message to Meghan was brutally simple. Some memories shouldn't be rewritten. Within minutes, Meghan's name was the #1 trending topic in both the UK and the US. The internet split instantly. Some rushed to defend her, calling the photos harmless, ancient, irrelevant. Others demanded answers. Why were these moments never mentioned? Why were these connections hidden? And was Meghan's royal debut really her first time in that world, or simply her first time entering it publicly? But the loudest reaction wasn't from the public. It was from Meghan herself. Inside her quiet Montecito home, she paced, furious, anxious, and overwhelmed. She had spent years building something, a story, an image, a polished and graceful identity. And in a single night, Fergie had cracked it open. Because this time, the leak didn't come from tabloids, gossips, insiders, or anonymous voices. It came from a duchess, a royal insider, someone who had seen that world from the inside and never forgot. And according to insiders, this wasn't just a photo drop. It was the beginning. Whispers began swirling that Fergie had a private archive, a collection no one knew existed, built quietly over decades. And the yacht photos? They were just the introduction. Every image, every brief interaction, every familiar glance now held new weight. Social media detectives zoomed, cropped, highlighted every frame, looking not just at Meghan but at the people around her. Who was she standing next to? Who was leaning close? What conversations were happening just outside camera view? Meghan's team scrambled, calls to lawyers, PR firms, media strategists, even Hollywood contacts. Statements were written, deleted, written again, but every sentence walked a tightrope. Too emotional looked panicked. Too defensive looked guilty. Too calm looked dismissive. And every time Meghan nearly responded, Fergie posted another image. The palace, of course, kept silent. Not because it didn't notice, but because silence is a strategy. While Meghan's team scrambled, royal institutions did the opposite. They waited, observed, and at the perfect moment, without ever mentioning Meghan's name, they shifted the spotlight. Not onto drama, but onto duty. Charity visits, hospital engagements, and ceremonial events featuring other senior royals began appearing front and center. The palace didn't need statements. It needed stability. It didn't need to fight. It needed to appear unmoved. As Meghan's team raced to control narratives, the institution simply maintained one. Commentators called this a masterclass in royal strategy. A storm on the outside, calm on the inside. Royals don't compete with chaos. They outwait it. But Fergie, she wasn't waiting. Each new photo revealed something deeper, not scandalous behavior, but something far more damaging. Familiarity, comfort, proximity. That sense that Meghan was not some unknown Hollywood actress shocked by the royal world, but someone who had already navigated parts of it long before Harry. That changed everything. Because this wasn't about one picture or one rumor. It was about narrative, about identity, about the story Meghan told and the story others were now telling for her. In PR terms, Meghan's biggest threat wasn't scandal, it was contradiction. Her team knew it. The palace knew it. And Fergie, well, she designed it. Over the next weeks, the drip of content became deliberate. Headlines shifted from gossip to analysis. Media experts debated not what Meghan did, but why it was never mentioned. Why was this chapter erased? Why was this world hidden? Did it matter? Should it? Some defended her fiercely. Others expressed disappointment, not in her past, but in the idea that it had been concealed. That's where public perception started to shift. Not because of the photos, but because of the questions. Meghan's advisors intensified efforts. Carefully staged photos highlighting charity work, motherhood, leadership, humanitarian themes began reappearing. Interviews were proposed. Selective media appearances were encouraged. But Fergie wasn't releasing everything at once. She was shaping tempo, rhythm, making Meghan respond to the story rather than guide it. In the court of public opinion, control is everything. And suddenly, Meghan didn't have it. By this point, experts agreed this wasn't just a scandal. It was a narrative war, a clash between personal branding and public perception, between curated identity and documented history. And in any such battle, silence isn't protection. Sometimes it becomes part of the story. Weeks passed, but interest didn't fade. The debate wasn't about guilt or innocence. It was about truth versus presentation, authenticity versus image. And in that contrast, Meghan faced an unexpected dilemma. Not about the photos, but about trust. Could she rebuild it? That became the real question. The palace observed, Fergie watched. Meghan considered her next move. Because in the world of royalty, reputation isn't about who you are. It's about who the public believes you are. And now, someone else was telling the story.